Welcome to the Realty Plus Real Talk series, where we talk to industry experts to know their honest views and opinions and real facts and figures. And today we have with us Mr. Mohit Arora, CEO for ATS HomeKraft. Mohit, a very warm welcome to you.
Thank you, Sapna. It's always a pleasure meeting you and interacting with you, and a big fan of Reality Plus. And all the
Thank you.
great work that you guys have been doing for the real estate industry. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mohit. And today we are going to talk about what's happening in Delhi NCR. What are the ATS projects happening there, and most importantly, the customer sentiments. How do you see into 2024 that is ending and going forward in 2025? Starting with NCR, there are certain micro markets, Yamuna Expressway, Greater Noida, Dwarka Expressway, which are much in news with the number of projects that are being launched there. What are your views on these emerging micro markets in NCR?
So, Sapna, very relevant question actually. If I look at data for the past 11 months, maybe, the year that's gone by, let's say about 50,000 odd units have been sold in the last 11 months. And it comes as no surprise that the market is talking about it, but 80% of the sales or units that have been sold, fresh units have been sold, are in these micro markets, which is Noida, Greater Noida, Yamuna Expressway, and Dwarka Expressway, New Gurgaon, which is very close to Dwarka Expressway anyways.
Right.
So 80% of the inventory that's getting sold out in Delhi NCR is in these markets. And these markets, the way, what differentiates a Delhi NCR market from any other market in this entire country, we have three states. We have Haryana, we have Delhi, the national capital, and then we have Uttar Pradesh. And within these micro markets, there is this set of dynamics. Within Noida is a different dynamics versus a Gurgaon, for example, let's say. So it's a very interesting micro market to be in, possibly one of the largest now in India, as a micro market. So it's great in that sense. Noida, Greater Noida, Yamuna Expressway, if I look at it, over the last 5 or 6 years, the government has spent about 64,000 odd crore rupees as such towards job creation, towards infrastructure development, and future plan, for example, is to establish a new Noida other than the airport.
Right.
The idea is to establish a new Noida. So another 6,000 hectares of land is getting acquired for it, and some 16,000 crores is allocated already towards that land acquisition over the next 5 years. So this market is going to expand in a huge way, in that sense. But what has happened over the last few years is because and the government has realized this very fast, is that there has been very limited supply in Noida, which has actually made Noida possibly over the last 3 years one of the highest appreciated market, in terms of price over the last 3 to 4 years. If I look at cumulatively, this market has been, the price rise has been the highest here, in terms of across NCR. So that's reflected. But what it also means is that the land price has become very expensive. So the government needs to unlock new land. So that's what is happening in Noida. Other than Jewar Airport, you heard, and I'm sure you all saw the video wherein the first flight has landed, and it was very welcome as such. Operations are expected to start in April next year. I think we look very bullish over there. So what's happening in this micro market is Yamuna Expressway is becoming a very good destination for investment properties. And going forward, if job creation maintains that pace that has happened, this belt has about let's say about 1 million people today. So if the job creation happens, we see another 2 lakh people coming in very shortly. That's 20% addition. There will be a huge demand for infrastructure and housing again in this belt, which we need to cater to as developers, as government, as all industry bodies. So that is going to happen on Yamuna Expressway. What will also that do is it will turn the city upside down. So the city like Gurgaon starts now from Ambience Mall, versus the older Gurgaon, which was earlier the case. Noida will then start from airport and go towards Delhi rather than starting from Delhi and going towards the airport. So a huge paradigm shift or huge strategic shift in these markets is going to happen, I would say, and we're all gearing up for it. Noida looks very, very exciting as such right now. That said, we have a large interest also on Dwarka Expressway. Dwarka Expressway has done very well over the last 2 years or so. I think it's been the talk of the entire country, forget the town. Every developer has launched a great project. Uh, the customers have accepted it. The channel has accepted it. The investors have wanted to buy. The price has technically, taken a significant jump over the last 1.5 years, if you look at it. And I think that is one market we continue to remain bullish on. Uh, what is going to happen there now is that a lot of end user demand is what we see coming in, because the infrastructure development is complete from the government side, and now the private bodies have to add. There are already schools, hospitals which exist, but the social infrastructure is now starting to come in, which means that Dwarka Expressway is going to see now an end user demand, and that is where the real meat is, or that is where the whole market is going to shift towards, and the product is going to shift towards in terms of end user. So very interesting times, and I think I don't see them possibly going away anytime soon. This market is going to be a very exciting market going forward.
Okay, so these are the hubs of real estate if we are talking about NCR, and as you said, infrastructure development, affordability, and job creation are something
Correct.
are the drivers are going to be the growth
Yeah.
drivers for these micro markets. In terms of ATS, HomeKraft, how are you looking at these markets? What are the kinds of projects you are launching here? What is your target audience, the customer engagement that you are looking at in these particular micro markets?
So, fortunately, unfortunately, Sapna, I think if you look at the business model, our business model has always been to target micro markets where infrastructure development is going to come in. So, for example, Dwarka Expressway, we already as a group have 4 large group housing projects delivered. People are living in them. I can't think of any other developer who's delivered 4 projects over there. And this is not today. This has happened 2 years back. The first project actually started over there in 2011-12. So, we have actually been trailblazers. Wherever we saw infrastructure going, we actually, went into that market. So that's been the strategy. Even Yamuna Expressway, Yamuna Expressway, we actually entered that market in 2014. Today, we've actually delivered 1,000+ homes, group housing homes, where people are already living on Yamuna Expressway. If you ever were to cross by and go towards Agra, there's only one large ATS building that stands out on that expressway and with people living. So, that's already developed with another 75 acres that we still have there. So, in terms of projects, I think Noida has been a major hub. Noida Extension, Greater Noida has been a large hub for us. I think that's been our strength area. Yamuna Expressway is where we are adding on. We have a 100-acre township, out of which, one group housing is developed. And very shortly, we're going to launch, plots in that micro market, followed by retail and offices and all of that, because the airport will bring that demand in on that side. Noida, Greater Noida, Noida Extension, Ghaziabad. So to say, we're already developing around 2 crore square feet as a group. So, 2 crore square feet of development is on, that's very healthy in that sense. Dwarka Expressway, as I said, 4 projects are delivered. These 4 projects in itself are about 80 lakh square feet already delivered. We've just launched another 20 lakh square feet on Dwarka Expressway. And I think next year, possibly sometime in the middle of the year, we'll launch another 20 lakh square feet on Dwarka Expressway. So these markets actually remain our very focused core markets as such, for ATS as a group. Multiple projects, 20 projects, mix of plotting, group housing, retail, offices, coming up, in these micro markets. And I think we enjoy a significant reputation from customers. The other focus has been to give livability. Sometimes when you deliver early, the livability is not there, like happened on Yamuna. So that is what we focus on. We bring in livability, and we bring in the initial set of customers who can bring in. So that's what we are doing in these micro markets. And we have, I think the last launch that we did was Sanctuary 105. So that's a mix of 3 and 4 bedroom apartments on Dwarka Expressway. On Dwarka Expressway, no one had a product which starts at 2 crore rupees today. So, we end up focusing on the end customer. So that that is that product. Similarly, in Noida, in Sector 150, we have a product at 1.5 crores and we have a product at 4 crore rupees. So, we're focusing on all ends of the customer, but the also focus is on largely who will live in this rather than invest in this. But then, there are certain investment products. Larger focus, let's say, has been designed for ATS, and so, two to a core, two units on one floor, so three sides open, so that becomes a large theme. Architecturally, great open spaces. So my ground coverage, we very, very focused on, and we don't exceed a certain number. So, that kind of brings in. So there is no FSI rush. What we say is, okay, what will give me 80%, 75 to 80% open areas? And that's when you kind of launch a project or, design a project accordingly. The entire construction supply is in-house. So, so when I do in-house construction, there's better quality, there's better control, there's better speed, so that happens. Like I said, livability, the maintenance of all complexes we do in-house, when the residents start coming in. So we maintain these complexes for a number of years in-house. So that's a large strength, and, it gets appreciated really well. So the rental yields are better in these complexes, the resale values are better in these complexes. And then all these buildings are, of course, green, IGBC certified, and, sustainable buildings that we end up building. So, a lot to do, still, but I think what we do today is unparalleled, of course, in NCR, because no one can boast of such development in these emerging micro markets, and a great portfolio of 2 crore plus square feet as such, that we're currently developing.
I think that's right. You've been the first movers, as you said, the first mover advantage in these micro markets, and then you have a great pipeline of projects also which are coming up, from plots to apartments in various segments. And livability, as you spoke about in the projects, that is what even the consumer is looking at. That is what the focus has been post-pandemic for the end user. And best thing is that if you have the construction and the facility management of the complex also, with the developer in-house, so nothing better for the end user, of course. But now talking about, we are in the end of 2024. How has the year been from the middle income segment housing aspect? RBI has maintained its repo rate, although people were expecting it will, it will be slashed or it will come down, but it has maintained. That's also good. How has the middle income segment in housing fared, according to you, in 2024?
So I think I would start off by saying that there remains a unprecedented demand for middle income. What we used to say for affordable housing back in 2019 and 2020 and 2021, I think, yes, affordable housing remains, but the consumer has shifted towards wanting middle income housing. So, the bottom of the pyramid in India has shifted to wanting middle income housing. And that's where our focus at ATS has been, which is about a 2 crore ticket size, 1.5 crore ticket size, 2.5 crore ticket size. At ATS HomeKraft, we're trying to do that product because it's an end user product, and, people end up living in that. Fortunately, unfortunately, over the last 9 months, 10 months, most of the launches in Delhi NCR, which is possibly 40% plus, I would assume, are in the luxury segment. And I think what they do is they attract an investor base, but the end user base is a little limited in that sense. So, that kind of causes some friction in the market, but I would say that the market needs a healthy mix of all kinds of market. Luxury is not a bad word, but I think, in terms of volumes, possibly NCR has done a little more than it should have on luxury housing as such, and mid-income housing technically is an evergreen thing. I mean, we've seen now growth rates tapering. The GDP growth has been a little tapered, but I think RBI officially has maintained a stance that they will not change the repo rate. The inflation's been a bit worrying. The rupee off late has been depreciating. So it's a very fine balance that RBI has to do in terms of maintaining rates, and I think they've done a wonderful job. I think over the last, for example, the best thing for a customer is, of course, the rates have to drop, but if they remain stable and they can plan their EMIs over the number of years, which has remained the case over the last 2 years at least, I think that's been a very favorable outcome. That said, I think, Sapna, there has been I have a large thought that real estate was a very risky bet for banks. Housing loans were very risky for banks in terms of asset class. With RERA coming in and regulations coming in, the risk in a real estate project or delivery has gone down. So maybe the spread that our banks charge between the repo rate and the housing loan rate of 9% possibly has to come down. So if that can come down somewhere, banks can
Right.
reevaluate the risk that they uh, attribute to a housing loan coupled with the customer's background. Maybe we should see a 50 to 100 basis points drop over there, given the number of issues that have come down in terms of delivery. Everything that's getting launched is getting delivered, and there's
Right.
been a healthy price rise. So if banks funded something in 2022, they're already sitting on a very healthy cover also with respect to
Right.
that. Such. So I think that is something maybe an RBI or banks need to look at. But I think otherwise, I would congratulate the government on maintaining a very healthy rate of inflation despite negative factors, and a very healthy repo rate, stable repo rate from a customer's viewpoint.
That's right. You rightly said middle income is a big segment. It's a huge segment,
Yeah,
and there is a huge housing need in that segment. And as you mentioned, even the affordable customer is now moving on to aspiring
mid
towards
income.
more middle income housing. And
Correct.
if we can give some incentives or subsidies from government, I think that will be a huge thing for the customers as well as the real estate sector. For ATS,
Correct.
apart from the micro markets that we spoke about, overall, what are your at the group level, at the company level, at the entire the sector, what are your strategic expansion plans? Are you looking at expanding in other cities geographically or in other asset classes?
So, Sapna, I think we as a company will remain very focused on housing. We are a very strong housing company, I believe, and I think that is going to remain core. And if you, Sapna, genuinely look at Delhi NCR, we have very few credible names as such, and I would very proudly say that ATS HomeKraft has been one. So we don't see a reason to change because
Hmm.
the demand is strong. The competition, I would say, of a good developer which delivers quality, maintains the project, is an ethical developer, and delivers to the customer promise, is very rare and
Right.
difficult to find in Delhi NCR. So we will continue to focus where we are focusing as such in terms of asset class, which is residential. That said, about 10 to 15% of the portfolio will remain commercial, retail, other asset classes, some hospitality, because sometimes, to let's say if I'm doing a township which is 100 acres, you need to make an integrated township rather than just do housing. So that's the larger need of the product as such. So we will continue to do that. I think as a group, what we've also the board has taken a call and the group has taken a call that we will remain NCR focused, which is that yes, certain tier 2, tier 3 markets that we've not touched in NCR, which is, let's say, a Sonipat or a Panipat or a Bhiwadi, we will touch upon, because that's where the infrastructure is moving right now. Ghaziabad, Meerut, Meerut remains an exciting market for us. So we will end up capturing the entire Delhi NCR. There is also a huge plan to enter the Delhi market, Delhi National Capital of Delhi market. So we've already acquired a project there in various stages of approval. We've just got our first approval for that project yesterday. So Delhi will remain a focus area. NCR will remain the bread and butter for us, and also residential. So we'll continue doing good work here. Uh, while we are developing 2 crore square feet, another 3 crore square feet is in the pipeline. This is land which is acquired and in different stages of acquisition as such, or approvals.
Mhm.
So 3 crore square feet within Delhi NCR and Delhi as such is in pipeline to be launched over the next 1.5 to 2 years. So that's our large portfolio. We currently do as a group about 4,000 crores of sales. We know we will kind of get to double that number very shortly. So that remains the focus. But other than that, Sapna, I think the large focus is to remain a very professional, customer centric, and quality developer in the market. I think the customer in the market, in the entire industry, kind of needs that you deliver on promises. So whether it is construction quality, timely delivery, or whether it is maintenance of our housing, I think we are developing and focusing largely on those areas, and we know that this micro market needs it, and of course, we'll double our portfolio, but
Right.
along with giving the service that we need to give as such.
As you said,
You know,
yeah,
yeah.
please continue.
I think I missed saying that Dehradun remains a key interest area other than NCR. So, I think we're very bullish on Dehradun given the connectivity that is going there. So we're actively scouting for projects in Dehradun and looking at what we can do there.
Rightly, like you said, the way Delhi NCR is growing, and so with infrastructure development, so many other cities you mentioned, Dehradun, Sonepat, etc., they are all coming together. There's a huge, chunk of development to be done, and ATS HomeKraft has specialized in residential, so that remains a core expertise. And
Correct.
as you
Yeah.
rightly mentioned, there is a dearth of reputable developers in North India in residential. So why not focus on one segment? Rightly so. So great. And the growth plans that you have mentioned, the kind of projects that you already are looking at, the land acquisition, etc. I'm sure there will be a lot of many new projects that we are going to see from ATS HomeKraft in coming years.
For sure.
But
For sure.
yeah, but we are around the corner. The new year is around the corner. The budget is around the corner. So I cannot end this conversation without asking you what are your predictions for 2025 and your expectations from the budget.
So, budget is always a mixed bag. And the real estate industry every time demands same things, and I'm going to ask for the same things again. I think the government needs to consider that construction material is not a luxury or anything else. So, steel, cement cannot be 18% GST or 28% GST. They are a 5% GST product. I mean, this will go a long way in making housing mid-income or affordable, as the honorable prime minister's plan is, that you need to reduce the cost of housing and make it more accessible to everyone. In every sort of project, I think that will help. So reduction in GST rates of large construction materials, very essential construction materials, is possibly not even a budget call, but should happen immediately. I can't still see any justification why 18 and 28% are justified as for steel and cement as such, respectively. So that's a huge request. If I can actually make a request to our honorable finance minister, that's a huge request, I would say. I think the other thing is that we are somewhere now living in a little dated environment. For example, the subsidy, the relaxation that a home loan customer gets under Section 24 in terms of interest reduction is still 2 lakh rupees on a housing loan. I think, even if I was to say a affordable house costs 75 lakh rupees to a crore in today's world, and a customer was to borrow, I think even then he will end up paying an interest on that housing loan of about 7.5 lakh to 10 lakh per year. So, we need to look at maybe raising that number to about 7.5 lakh rupees per annum, because, that is actually going into building the nation and making, I would say, the community or the people of India prosperous in, I would say, adding to their basic social infrastructure or social welfare as such, which is housing as such. So, if I had these two, if these two get done, I think real estate industry contributes about 7.5% to our GDP, which grows every year also by 7% at least. I would say that the industry will start contributing more, because there will be a huge demand. And then, we have allied industries, which are 500 plus industries, contributing to it. The biggest labor force is in construction. So this actually alleviates the whole nation as such. Certain small numbers, I don't think, which kind of make up for the deficit if there is any, caused by these things. So those two are my large requests. If someone was to consider them, but other than that, I think smaller ones, but these two happening will genuinely make the social housing infrastructure very strong across the nation.
Right. But what are your expectations for 2025 in terms of how real estate is going to do?
So I think I will, I'm a very strong believer that every city has, or every large micro market has their own cycle. And I will talk in terms of Delhi NCR. I think in terms of Delhi NCR, Noida, Greater Noida, Yamuna Expressway are going to see a huge boom, because lands are getting unlocked here. as such. And we've seen an average price of 12,000-13,000 rupees a square feet now in Noida. I think that will continue to grow up. Yamuna Expressway and New Noida are going to be new markets that will open up on the mid-income affordable housing and new infrastructure side. So there is a lot of action that is going to happen on Noida Extension and Yamuna Expressway side. I possibly will not be surprised if next year these three micro markets, along with maybe a Ghaziabad with some other developer coming in, contribute to 50% of NCR sales going forward. Because there's a huge chunk of development happening in these areas. Dwarka Expressway, New Gurgaon are going to continue to shine as such. I don't see an issue, but it will be more end user demand and not an investor demand. We will see launches, but launches that happen around end user will only succeed because that's where the market is. Tier 2, Tier 3 markets, Sonipat, Meerut, Dehradun, Bhiwadi, I think that's where the next wave lies with infrastructure now getting connected. These are micro markets which will start rising next year. They'll still not see the peak. They're a little away from that, but in NCR they'll start rising and showing certain amount of tailwinds, I would say, boosted by that. The government is stable. I would say across NCR the government is stable as such. So we look forward to that. Delhi, I'm hoping that some bit of development opportunities get unlocked as such, because land pooling policy, Delhi master plan,
right,
these three things are holding Delhi back. And I would urge, if I was to kind of unlock these and solve these, so Delhi can also get its share of development, and the Delhi residents can get to experience good development from us developers also as such, in that sense. But I see my prediction, if you were to ask number, is a 15 to 20% increase in sales volume, and we look at prices as such, but we look at these volumes for sure.
Okay, fantastic. That's good news, and that's very positive sentiments from Mohit Arora for next year and the times that are coming up. Yes, policies have to keep up with time, as Mohit said, and probably GST has to be rationalized for construction materials, especially, as Mohit said. Very valuable insights, Mohit, for sharing with us, and thank you for being, sharing your time and being with us today to talk about what's happening in Delhi NCR and what we are going to see forward in the real estate. So thank you so much, and thank you for being here with us.
Thank you so much, Sapna. It was a pleasure interacting. Thank you so much.
Same here. Thank you.